Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 back with another one. Stephen Will here, coming off our big giveaway show. A lot of people got a lot of stuff yesterday. Congratulations to anybody who won some stuff. If you didn't win, hey, we did it at 10K. So Steve, I think the next one is what, 20K?
Yeah,
20K for the
yeah.
next?
Hey, we got to get them numbers real quick while we're on that subject, real fast. I don't know who you're waiting on, but I still need Jay Washington to reach out to me. Everyone
I
else,
told you, no, I got Jay Washington.
okay, we're good then. Never mind. Disregard everything I just said. Just,
Jay, I
just.
got you. Yeah, because Jay won before. Jay, you won before, man. So I got your information. I'll shoot it to Steve. But yeah, other than that, man, all you winners, congratulations. We had a couple second time winners. So if you remember, and especially the members pool isn't that big. So if you're in that members pool, you got a strong opportunity, man, to win some jersey stuff. So again, hey, not required, but highly recommended to
And
become a member,
appreciate
man, and appreciate it, man. So, but that said, to the meat and potatoes of this thing, Steve, what the heck do you got me talking about? This is your thing. I'm just trying to, squirrel be in it. You know what I mean?
just scroll, try to get a nut. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah.
I had a question from one of our members the other day that it was on one of our previous episodes, and I mentioned this in the live show yesterday. And the question is from Horgarth, one of our members, longtime subscriber, leaves a lot of comments, much appreciated. This is what I like. I like these types of questions because it gets my brain going. It makes me think. I could take this question, we could spin it into an episode and have a whole conversation. So his question was, if we only draft 3 players, who would you draft if you were Brad Holmes? So we're going to get into that. We got a little list. We're not trying to spin this into a mock draft. I know that's kind of the setup with the question and the way it's asked. That's kind of how it sounds. But I know my 3 guys. I think that there's a strong chance that we leave my draft with all 3 of the guys I have on my list. And you guys are going to find out who my number 1 player is. I'm keeping it realistic. I'm not going out there and saying, man, we're going to get Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and whoever else. Like, I'm keeping it real. All right. I'm not playing video games. I'm playing real life football here. So, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Will, where do you want to begin from here?
Hey, listen, I like it. I'm interested, man, for people to hear who your guy is. And I'm also interested who the other 2 guys are, because we didn't tell each other who we were talking about today. So I had a strong inkling that you might be talking about your number 1 guy, but you have no idea who my 3 guys are. And people might not know who my 3 guys are, because I like to find those little inches in between the rules here. I like to find, hey, listen, can we bend the rules slightly?
Find those gray areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got 3 guys that also could end up being a Detroit Lion, but they might not be guys that you heard of. It might be that 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick if we decide to make those selections. So Steve, it's up to you, man. Where you want to start this thing off? Where you want to kick it off? You tell me.
I'll start with my number 3. All right. We've talked about him before. Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. When I picked this picture for a reason, this dude is so massive. They couldn't even get my man some pads and a jersey that fit him. All right. 320 pounds listed, but at the combine, he showed up at a lean 288, 6'5". I'm telling you, you said something the other day that we want to be violent in the trenches. Violent. I can't find a better player in this draft who likes to hurt people in a physical football type of way than Ty Robinson. 6'5", 290 pounds, ran a 4.83 at his combine, tested off the charts. I do think I have a little knock on him. 10-yard split of 171. That's not fast, but at his size, it's pretty damn fast. Vertical jump, 33.5. Broad jump, 9.11. This dude is just all around impressive, and he's fast for his size. So when I took the look at him, the game I was watching was him against the Nebraska Cornhuskers against USC. USC has a lot of speed on their team. Speed. That's how they try to beat you. Ty Robinson was in the backfield making some plays on some running backs, some quarterbacks, being disruptive. I don't know where I would rank him in a draft, because I've seen him anywhere from early 2nd round to somewhere in the middle of the 4th. So I don't know what his draft value is. So I think that at least opens the door for us to have an opportunity to draft him if he's available. How do you feel about Mr. Ty Robinson? And you have to call him Mr., because if you don't call him anything else, he's going to be very, very mean to you.
Listen, Ty Robinson doesn't scare me. He's not getting Mr. out of me, because simply for no other reason than he's not going to catch me. So I'm not going to stand there and try to deal with him. He's a monster. But Uh, we didn't get the chance to see a real Ty Robinson at the combine, man. He was one of those guys that leaned out to run fast, and that he did. He did run fast. He ran what 4.8 or 4.9.
483.
Yeah, so uh, yeah, he leaned out and he did his thing, man, for combine purposes. But he's going to be a dude that plays in the NFL at 300 pounds. Do like his game. I do think that he's a second round, into the second round, third round type of guy. And for those reasons, there's just a couple of guys that I like better. But depending on who comes off of the board, if he's a Detroit Lion, I'm not going to be mad about it. The only way that there's going to be any type of contesting the pick for me, man, would be if you had like a Darius Alexander or some of these other guys that I think could be second round guys on the board. But that all said, man, uh, I think he's going to be a freaking good football player. He's definitely in the top 10 DTs, and if you get him on your team, you're going to be happy you have him because I think he's a guy. He's going to work hard. He's going to just be, as you said, a trenches violent guy. So yeah, Ty Robinson. If you're wearing Honolulu blue, I'm happy.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with all the defensive tackle signings we had like the last couple of weeks. I'm not disappointed that we signed Ray Lopez or anything like that, but I started to dwindle the value of defensive tackle and how bad do we really need one. So, do you want to do your third, or you want me to just knock out all three of mine?
It doesn't matter, man. However you want to do it, I'm locked and loaded and ready. So I
I'll
don't
just
really have mine in ranked order, but
okay.
they're all pretty much same across the board. So yeah, it don't matter. You tell me what you want to
I'll
do.
get William Kenneth Grant.
Mm.
Kenneth Grant in the University of Michigan. Like, listen, I think he's the most athletic defensive tackle on a anchor of a Michigan Wolverines defense. Won a national championship. A lot of people talk about Mason Graham, Will Johnson, Isaiah Stewart, love him, all of them too. But I think Kenneth Grant just kind of flies under the radar when it comes to the Michigan defenders because I think we showed the play of him against I think it was Natron Allen from Penn State where he just ran him down like in a close game against Penn State a couple years ago. Like this dude does not quit on plays. He's all hustle and all muscle. All right, he's a high motor guy. When I think of two guys who just hey, who would Dan Campbell want to draft? I think it's Ty Robinson and a Kenneth Grant, just because they're not going to take a playoff. They're not. When you get them out of the field, they're going to give you everything they got. We know everything about Kenneth Grant. We've watched him since he came to Michigan. Absolute stud. This past season, 18 solo tackles, 3 sacks, disruptor. Don't let the numbers fool you. This guy can put pressure on a quarterback. And again, on the defensive line, he's very, very underrated. So I'm thinking, what if he comes to the Detroit Lions and he keeps that same mindset of being underrated because, hey, the Lions got a Lee McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, and then you just kind of casually throw in a Kenneth Grant and maybe a team, oh, hey, what are we dealing with here? Oh, just a 6'5", 340-pound monster that likes to disrupt people. So, again, he could also be that second wave of defenders, maybe first, depending. I don't know where our front four is really going to look like with Roy Lopez, who's going to be shuffled in and out. But I can get Kenneth Grant on this football field in some pass rush situations. He's solid against the run. That's the number one thing. And you've said this. You're a defensive guy. What's the first thing you want to do on defense? Stop the run.
You're not running the ball.
I think Kenneth Grant fits that mold to a T. I would absolutely be thrilled if he ends up a Detroit Lion. Will.
Listen, Kenneth Grant, 6'4", 340 pounds. Talking about running a 4.8 at his pro day. Well, yet it remains to be seen if it happens or not. But we already know he's fast. Yeah, we already know he's fast. We already know he's athletic. I don't really particularly care what he runs at his pro day because the film shows him running down running back. So I mean, what else do I need to see? I don't need to see anything else. The film doesn't lie. So he's a guy that I do like, man. I am interested in, but with our DT situation currently in Detroit, man, and things moving forward as far as having next season with Roy Lopez, Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, and then Aleem McNeil when he comes back, Mekhi Wingo, a young up-and-comer. I just don't know that if I would take him at pick 28, because I just think that there's some things that I would rather have. I want an edge rusher, and I keep saying edge rusher. So, yeah, man, I'm just leaning a little bit more that direction. But Kenneth Grant is an absolute dog, man. I think he'll be gone before pick 28, anyways, though.
Don't steal my thunder, Will. I still got to plan out my scenario. I'm just giving you the guys. I said there's a way we get all three, didn't I? I said there's a way. So my number one guy. Listen, a lot of people were wanting me to spill the beans last night on the live show. Couldn't do it. All right, that wasn't the time and place. The time and place is now. All right. I texted you the other night and I said, Will, I'm in love with a man. I'm not even ashamed to admit it. And you said, I love you too. And I said, I appreciate that, but I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about JT Tuamaialo. I hope I'm saying his name right. I better get it right because he's going to be playing for the Detroit Lions. Listen, know all about him. I finally dedicated a whole night, and this is what I was talking about the other night when my wife came upstairs and I was still in the office all night watching tape, watching film. I was only watching one player, and it was JTT. Um, he was leaps and bounds sticking out on film more than Jack Sawyer. So when I was watching the Sawyer film, I wasn't really paying attention to what JT was doing. Once I sat down and started looking at it from the other end, I said, this dude's on a national championship defense. He's got 12 and a half sacks. He plays the run well. He's got size. He's like 6'5", 260 pounds, powerful. If you took Josh Paschal, this is what I think we would want Josh Paschal to be. This is who I think we would want in that role, that opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson. Playing the run, being disciplined, not letting people get outside you, rushing the passer when it's needed. And what do I need a pass rusher to do, Will, is put pressure on a quarterback, dominate a football game if need be. I don't know if I've ever seen more impressive football tape recently than JT against the 2022 Penn State Nittany Lions. All you have to do, you fast forward that game, go watch that game after halftime. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Total domination. I think he had an interception for a touchdown, a strip sack for a touchdown, a couple other sacks, some pressures, blowing up the run game. Will, I'm in love. He's a Buckeye. I don't care. I don't care one single bit. I think he has to be a Detroit Lion. Now, I've said there's a way we get all three of these guys. Possibly, if we trade back into the early to mid, maybe even late 30s, and we gain another pick somewhere in the late 40s, you could leave this draft with a JT Tuamalo. You could take Kenneth Grant in that pick 40 range. You could take a Ty Robinson in the third or fourth round if he's still there. Now, do I think we need to go defensive end, defensive tackle? Probably not with the recent signings and all the things we've done. But with what the Lions did today with signing Rock Yassin and bringing back Khalil Dorsey, kind of just shored up our secondary a little bit too. So now I really don't know what the Lions are going to do. Other than edge, I feel like we have a lot of luxury picks. So if that's what Brad Holmes wants to do, if he's looking at this defense saying, I am not going to be in the boat that I was in last year where my defensive line was constantly beat up, I'm not going to do what I did last year where I go back-to-back corner. I'm going to do one better and go defensive line, my first three picks. Will, how do you feel?
Man, my first instincts are this, Steve. Are you nuts?
Yeah,
Are you nuts?
you're right. That defense would be nuts.
No. Stop. Pump the brakes there. First things first, Kenneth Grant is going in the first round. He's going in the first round. I think you're going to have Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, and obviously Mason Graham. Those are bookends. Those are going to be first rounders. That's first things first. Second things second. With JT, I see a guy who he's a solid football player. I think he's going to come into the league and he's going to be a solid dude. I don't think he'll be a star. I don't think he'll be one of those guys that are dominating a Sunday afternoon, but he'll be a guy who adds value to a team. I'm not quite as excited about him as you are, solely because of how deep this edge rushing draft is, man. I got edge rusher after edge rusher after edge rusher. I mean, guys who could be in that top 100, man. There's just a lot of guys that I like a lot. I mean, JT, he reminds me of people that we already have. Like he reminds me of like a Paschal. He reminds me of a Levi Onwuzurike. I don't know, because Paschal has never been healthy for a season to be able to truly show what I think his potential is. But I like a Levi Onwuzurike. He is. One thing that I will give you is this: he's one of those Brad Holmes type of dudes. Like he's a tough, big bodied, gritty, run stopping defensive end. Like, but I think you can get that big body from somebody who can also pass rush a little bit better. He's kind of got a move that he goes to. If you watch the film, he likes that chop and then try to hit the edge on you, chop those arms and hit the edge. But I don't see a lot more from him. I see a lot of guys who got just a plethora of moves. Like when you're talking about Izoroku, when you're talking about one of the guys that I'm going to mention, that's a later round guy, Nick Scorton. I don't know. So here's the bottom line for me. If you're telling me that we got JT at pick 60, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. If we traded up to get him like at 40 and there's some other guys on this board, then I'm going to be a little bit concerned. So that's the bottom line for me. If you're telling me that JT slid to pick 60 and we selected him, I'd be cool with it. But the other day you had said something about this is my guy, and if I got to take him potentially earlier than I would, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, I don't
ooh.
care
That's
about draft
one to
value
pick.
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. I feel like if Brad Holmes looks at him and says that he's the best defensive end or he's the one that's available in his bucket of players, take him. Will big time players make big time plays in big time moments? JT had 14 pressures throughout the college football playoff, including William. Are you nuts? 6 sacks in 4 games. The biggest moments. He dominates a football game. If we're in a position where Aiden Hutchinson has to miss a little bit of time, I'm confident that we can still get some production from the pass rusher at the edge position. I'm fully confident in JT. I don't care about draft value anymore. I don't care where Brad drafts a player. I said this the other day. This team doesn't have any glaring needs. We've locked up a lot of our own guys. We brought in some depth pieces for free agents. We just signed 2 secondary players today. The last couple of weeks, we brought back Pat O'Connor. We brought in Roy Lopez. We've shored up some depth problems. Go out and get a guy who can make a play. There is a bunch of guys, but my preference is a guy who's 6'5", 270 pounds, 12 and a half sacks on the top defense in college football, played in all of the big games and absolutely dominated. I just don't see why I can't have an issue with this kid if he's the pick at pick 28, because I don't think he's going to make it to 60.
Yeah, I don't know that he makes it to 60 for sure, but at pick 28 is wild to me. Wild, because the only reason why I say that, I don't want to make it like I'm saying he's a bad football player, because he's not a bad football player. But I just think they're going to have Nick Scorton or Mike Green or James Pierce, or you know what I mean? Like there's Donovan Izoroku. If any of those guys are on the board at pick 28, where JT's not even in the conversation. Like if you told me that, I'd be so mad. I'd rather you draft Justin Timberlake if we're talking about JT at pick 28. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? At pick 28, he is not in the conversation, Steve, at pick 28 for me. Now at pick 60, yeah, heck yeah. At pick 60, I'm on board. Like I'm interested at pick 60, depending on who's on the board. Like, but at pick 28, absolutely not. There's no way. You're telling me you're taking him on your football team before Mike Green, Nick Scorton, Michael Williams,
I told you
like
Mike Green's off my
Donovan
list.
Izoroku. Like
Mike
I
Green's
know,
off
but
my list.
I get it, man. But if it's just Mike Green and JT, you're telling me you're taking JT?
Yes.
Unbelievable, unreal. I
Yes.
don't know I don't know what's happening here. We normally see eye to eye. I'm in.
I mean, I could just throw out the fact that JT's faced better competition and is not far behind Mike Green in production. When I'm looking at a guy who plays teams like Michigan, Michigan State, Oregon, Nebraska, who's always got a good offensive line, Penn State's got a good offensive line, and then the playoffs, Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, like he showed up in every single game. Those are teams that are putting linemen in the NFL regularly. He went up against Calvin Banks, a future first round pick for whoever drafts him this year, dominated him. Went up against some guys from Penn State's team last year that ended up in the first round, dominated them. Dominated them. And I hate the only thing I hate about him, he's a Buckeye, but I don't care. Come to the Lions, win me a Super Bowl, get your national championship, come to the Lions, win a Super Bowl. I don't care. Pick 28. I'm okay if it's a couple other guys, but if he's on the board and Brad Holmes gets to the podium and announces that, and that's the name that's announced, I'm doing cartwheels, Will.
Yeah. If Brad Holmes, if they go to the board and they announce that name, I'm immediately going to watch film again because I got to reevaluate some things. But hey, I've been wrong before. I'm not going to say I'm right now. So yeah, JT, hey, potentially wearing Honolulu blue. For Will, if it's at pick 60, I'm down. If it's at pick 28, I'm like, wow, I got maybe my eyeballs are deceiving me. So
Production and size.
Yeah, I get it. I get it, man. I get it.
And his
Where we at?
combine, last thing, his pro day, Kenneth Grant's pro day is tomorrow. That's why we're doing this episode too. And JT's is the 26th, I believe. So as long as he doesn't run like a 5.4 or anything like that, like, yeah, that's my guy. But let's get into your list. Who you got?
So I guess I'll start my list off. So let me set the table for my list. So when you brought the show to me and we were talking about it last night after the show, and you had told me about the question, I immediately said, what would Brad Holmes do? What would Brad Holmes do? And I felt like Brad Holmes would keep some things close to the vest. He would keep some things close to the vest. So I said, how can I do that, but have a truthful, open show and tell some people about some guys that I'm super excited about in the draft that, excuse me, that maybe are getting overlooked. So setting the table like that, the first guy that I'm going to talk about is Eugene Asante from Auburn, linebacker. When I look at this draft, I don't think that we're going to get Jahad Campbell. Not because Jahad Campbell isn't a freaking phenomenal football player, just because I don't know how you extend Derek Barnes and then you got Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell, and then you bring you pick at pick 28, you bring a guy in who's not going to start the following season. I think the only way that you do that is if it's a quarterback, right? You don't draft any other player to me in the first round who's not going to get on the field the following season. So for that reason, I just don't think that it'll be Jahad Campbell, although I love the idea of Jahad Campbell in Honolulu Blue. So that said, I was like, man, I would like to add some linebacker depth to this team. Where can we do that? I started looking at guys who I felt like fit the mold of Dan Campbell guys, Calvin Shepard guys, gritty guys. And one guy that popped in my head, excuse me, is Eugene Asante out of Auburn, who flies around. He ran a 4.48 at the combine, but it's not about that. It's about how explosive he is on the football field. So I loaded some clips up of these guys, some quick ones. I'm not going to bore you guys with crazy film, but some quick ones because I know a lot of these guys are guys that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of. So here's a little quick snippet on Eugene Asante. He's right there at that linebacker position, tight end screen, shot out of a cannon, man. Shot out of a cannon, making plays. Now, one thing that I will say about Eugene, blitz, going to get himself a sack, man. Fast guy, pull the trigger guy. He's not a guy who reads and recognizes plays with great instinct, but his speed makes up for it. When he sees the plays in front of him and he kicks in that 4.4 speed, then he can go make a play for you. So he's not a great read and recognition guy yet, but he's a guy who can go make a play for you and make up for that with his speed. He's a guy who could be a developmental piece. He's a guy that could take 1 or 2 seasons to be actually getting on the football field, and I wouldn't mind it because he's a guy that I'm talking about drafting 5th round, 6th round, like later on in the draft if he's still available. And why do you do something like that with him? You do it because he's going to offer you special teams right now. He's a fast, violent, twitchy guy who you can put on special teams immediately, and he's going to be a special team star. We're talking about a guy 6 foot running a 4.4, 230 pounds, 225 pounds. I just love the idea of adding that type of piece to special teams. We talk about 3 phases of football. We want to have an elite offense, an elite defense, and an elite special teams. I think you do it by getting guys like this who can play some doggone good football and be twitched up. So Eugene Asante, Steve, how you feel about him?
Don't know a whole lot, but I will just say one thing and put everything in perspective. Who's the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions?
Calvin Shepard,
former linebacker.
Facts.
Played in the SEC. LSU Tiger. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on him. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing his name, but I trust you, Will. When it comes to football, I think your specialty is linebackers and corners. For some reason, I don't know. You say a name, and I look it up, and I'm like, he told me everything that I needed to know right there. But I mean, I got to get you on board with JT Tuamalo, but we'll work on that. But yeah, you have an eye for linebackers and corners. So who you got next?
Next one, man. I'm gonna save my favorite for last.
And safeties. I got to give you safeties because you were very, 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 very high on Brian Branch a couple years ago too, before anyone else was.
Every time you say the fact that Brian Branch is on our team, it makes me so happy. I'm gonna say my favorite for last, man. Even though I don't know that he's the best player, so I'm gonna go with Antoine Powell-Ryland, man. Antoine Powell-Ryland out of Virginia Tech. This is a guy that we're talking about talk about production. We're talking about 16 sacks, Steve. We're talking about 16 sacks. This is another one. So when I talk in the draft, man, and I talk about the potential for us to get multiple pass rushers. So if we draft a pass rusher at pick 28 and then we go get a guard, but I want another pass rusher, I'm talking about Antoine Powell-Ryland, man. I'm talking about guys like him. There's a cluster of guys like him who are good, solid football players. They can rush the passer and they can offer other things as far as for your football team, being tough in the run game, doing some stunt games, being smart football players with a nice little tool bag, some bag of moves. Sorry. These are the guys that I'm talking about, man. So I think that you can get an edge rusher at pick 28 and then potentially go back into the draft and get another guy that'll help your team out, man. So again, same thing. I loaded in, put some clips together because I know a lot of people won't know about him from Virginia Tech. So let's take a look at him and let me know what you think. There he is right there on the edge. This is the one I like because it goes from bull rush to him getting his hands free, hitting that edge on him. Sack, right? Easy money. Same thing. Now he's dipping inside, making a play on the run game. He can get his arms on you, extend, and get off of you. Now we got a nice little spin move, man. That's what I'm saying, man. He has a tool bag of moves. He's not a one-trick pony, man. When I think about guys in the NFL, you're not gonna go against an NFL offensive lineman with one move. They watch film, they prepare for you. If you only got one, right? If you only got one move, right? Yeah. So if you only got one move, man, they're going to take care of you, man. You have to have a plethora of moves. When you go to the combine and you run these 4.4s or 4.5s or whatever, these crazy times, even though you're 260, 270, 280 pounds, it's cool. It's sweet. Like you can run fast in your pajamas, but can you get on a football field and do spin moves? Can you hand fight? Can you rip? Can you stack? Can you straight arm and get off blockers, man? Those are the things that I think that are underrated, especially for a novice eye, a novice football eye. But the guys that can do stuff like this, they're going to go be productive for teams, man. And you're going to wonder, this guy gets drafted in the third round, why he had 8-9 sacks last year for some teams. So Antoine Powell-Runlin is a guy that I've really been watching. I'm interested to see where he ends up falling in this draft, man. I think you could see him anywhere from the second round to the third round. And if he ended up in Honolulu Blue, he would be a guy that I would be super excited about. Maybe pick 60 is too high for some people, but if we drafted him at pick 60, I would be okay with it. Steve, how you feeling about Antoine?
I'd be okay with it. Can't ignore 16 and a half sacks. I don't care. I don't care what school you're at. I don't care if you're at Monroe County Community College and they develop a football team and you go out and you have 16 sacks. I'm gonna be paying attention. Just looking at his measurables, though, there is something that really stood out to me. Small arms, 31 inches.
Yeah.
Kind of small. But if you could work around, I don't get into like oh man, Drew Brees had tiny hands or Jared Goff has tiny. I don't really care. Honestly, it's just something we look at. But if you're producing and you're producing at a high level and you have decent size and you stay on a football field and you don't get hurt, I'm automatically going to be interested in you in this draft. That's literally my criteria: size, production, available. Literally, you check those three boxes, I'm interested in you as a Detroit Lion. And he checks all three. Like the tape, like the film. He kind of reminds me a little bit of as a Raku with all his arsenal and his moves. Haven't fully dove a whole night into him like I have with some other guys, but I'll be getting on board. Pick 60. See a sprint to the podium guy at pick 60 with whoever our celebrity picker is. Is Barry Sanders turning in that pick and running his old times back when he was at Oklahoma State to get it in?
No way. Sprint to the podium, no way. I'm not sprinting to the podium because there's just so many guys, man. Like, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be no negative reaction if we get him at pick 60. I'm like, okay, we got a dog, we got a good one. But I'm not sprinting to the podium. There's only a couple of guys that are sprint to the podium guys for me, man. I can't put him on that list, but I am excited about seeing what he does in NFL.
So you're like me, you do one sprint and then you're done. I understand. Who's your next guy?
I don't even know if I got one sprint in me, if I'm being honest.
I take my truck to check the mail, if I'm being honest with you.
Last dude, man. Last dude. Listen, Steve. Most people aren't going to know who this young man is, but I will say that the Detroit Lions did meet with him at the combine. This is a dude that I'm super excited about. I read the scouting report and I got questions on him because the scouting reports that I've read on him aren't accurate from what I see on the film, but I've only watched 2 full football games of his, being honest. And then on top of that, obviously watching highlights and watching snippets, but I don't like to get on here and talk about guys unless I watch a couple full football games. I would like to watch some more full football games of his to kind of see what some of the scouts are talking about. But again, all 3 of these guys are late round guys. This is a guy that you add to your football team in the 5th, 6th round, and you're like, how did this happen? And I think that this is Dan Campbell reincarnated. All right, this is Coach Campbell. All right, this is Coach Campbell. This is a Coach Campbell guy. If you don't know, Coach Campbell was a tight end. If you don't know, he started this thing coaching tight ends. So none other than C.J. Dupree, out of Alabama, or he started off at Maryland, with Tua Tagovailoa's brother. I can't remember what his first name is, but
Talia.
all right, there it is. So, had him out there as his quarterback in Maryland, then transfers out to Bama. We're looking at 6'5", 260 pounds. He kind of reminds me of a guy like Brock Wright, man. Like he's not gonna kill you in the pass game, but he does have some skills that he can offer. But he's nasty. He's nasty. Here's a couple of snips of CJ Dupree. That's him with Tua. Oh, baby. Oh, I forgot that. My bad on the audio. My bad on the audio on that one. Forgot to take the audio off of that one. Hopefully they don't kill us for that, Steve. Jalen Milroe again, man, throwing it over the linebacker's head. Last one. Another one. Jalen Milroe, Steve. But throws that two ball. He understands the concept of finding the soft spots in defenses. And when he gets there, he's got nice soft hands, makes plays down the field. But I wish that I could rewind it and go back and show you guys the play that had the audio on it. I was probably so excited watching it, I didn't want to take the audio off of it. But he is taking a guy for a ride for 10 yards down the field, blocking, right? This is a guy who is more than willing to get physical in the run game. He likes to block. He's athletic enough to get out on screens and blocks. Also can offer you a little bit in the pass game. If you're talking about grabbing a guy like that, 6'5", 260, that'll get physical, I'm interested in the 5th round. Steve, CJ Dupree, getting eyeballs on him. What's your initial instincts?
You, Me, and Dupree, great movie. Absolutely phenomenal movie. Loved it. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Sam Laporta, Will, in a way that he played with a quarterback that was absolutely handicapped and couldn't really throw a football, but still finds a way to get to the league. So shout out to that, because I think that's also Jalen Milroe's highlight tape, wasn't it? Those 8-yard curls.
No. Negative.
I like it. 6'5". What'd you say? 260, something like that.
Yeah.
But here's the only thing with how many tight ends we already have on this team: Laporta, Brock Wright. We just re-signed Sane Zylstra. If I'm not mistaken, we brought in, I can't remember his name, boy from the I can't say his name, Yabo or something like that. I can't remember his name. Oh yeah. So
Yaboda.
Yeah. Are we going to draft a fifth tight end? Like I don't know. I think we're pretty. You think we're going to rock 5 tight ends on our team?
No. So here's my thing with Kenny Yaboda is a guy that's going to be fighting to make this team. Shane Zylstra is going to be a guy that's fighting to make this team. The only tight ends that we have truly, to me, is Brock Wright and Sam Laporta. So everybody else are guys that are going to be fighting to make this team. So I think that, yeah, you could easily add a guy that you feel like could add value to the room. The only thing that I will say is Kenny can block. He can block. So that's one thing that I like about CJ. He's willing to block, man. Scouts have said, though, that he's inconsistent blocking. So I want to watch, like I said, I only watched 2 games of his blocking, and he was getting physical. So like I said, I mean, if you get an opportunity, go back and try to watch that play with the audio on it. I don't want to play it because the audio was blasting our ears. Otherwise, I would run it back. But yeah, man, he's a guy that I seen was willing to get physical. And if you're 6'5", 260, man, it's something that you definitely can learn as well. He offers a little bit of athleticism too. Like I said, he reminds me of a guy like Brock Wright, man. He's not gonna be your featured tight end in the pass game, but he can make a couple plays. Yeah, but he can make a few plays, man. If you fall asleep on him. So yeah, man, he's another one, man. But all 3 of these guys are guys that I look at giving value in the back half of this draft. I do truly believe, Steve, you said it as well, we're not gonna be drafting probably 7, 8 players. So what I see happening is we trade up in this draft, we trade back in this draft, we give up some of the draft equity to do some things, but we are probably going to have 1 or 2 picks on the back half of the draft. Can you get some value from those guys? Can you get a tight end who can come in and block and offer some depth and compete in training camp? Can you get a linebacker that could be a long-term linebacker that can immediately offer some stuff on special teams? Can you get an additional edge rusher that eventually could turn into a piece that's special, man? And, in the 4 years that they have that they're on their rookie deal. These are all three guys that I think can add that type of value, man, and that's why they excite me.
Yeah. Do you think he could end up taking Brock Wright's job, be tight end too, right off the rip, day one?
I don't think so. Not day one. Not day one, but I think he's a guy that could definitely get into the room and add some value. Like do I think that he could maybe compete with Kenny, Shane, and Zylstra and those guys? I think he competes with those guys, but Brock Wright is a guy I think he's underrated, man. He's definitely he blocks tough in the run game. Uh, I just think Brock Wright is one of those guys who does the dirty work, man, but you never really, hear his name called. So no, I don't see him taking his spot, man, immediately. But down the road, you never know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I don't think we're drafting 7 players. I don't. I think the number's 5 for whatever reason. I don't know. 7, I just don't see drafting people just to probably most likely cut them. And that's not disrespect. It's just the way the Lions are built. Like we have a very, very deep team. So if we add 7 rookies, is that 6th, 7th round pick really going to probably make the team? Like I feel like we'd just be in a way wasting a draft pick. Why not use that to move up in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, and get something that could help if it's special teams or whatever it may be. But I truly don't think that the Lions are going to be trading back too much in this draft. I think they're going to pick some spots, maybe move up in the 2nd round and then trade back. I don't know. It's going to be some maneuvering, but I think at the end of the draft, we're only going to have 5 names as Detroit Lions, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Anything else tonight?
No, man, I'm excited, man. Listen, I'm hoping that Steve is available in the back half of this week. I think that I'm ready to put out a mock draft.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I'd like Steve to quarterback it though. So we'll get on. I'll let you guys see who's on the board and who I'm going to select, man. And Steve will quarterback the thing, and then we'll go from there. But maybe the back half of this week or beginning of next week we'll throw a mock draft out there. So guys, get ready and. If you want to help me out in the comments, like who you drafting, who you high on, and I'm always willing to look at some guys.
There's only one thing that could throw a wrench into that plan, William.
What's that?
If my wife decides she wants to go into labor anytime this week, because we're on hot standby. I don't know. Any moment now could be the day. I don't know. So if I disappear, live stream from the hospital during
That's what I'm saying. You can't look over and say push and click the mouse. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know. My wife's very, very tolerant of a lot of things, but I feel like there's a stern line that's invisibly drawn that I should know about, and I think that might be it. But I am taking the iPad, so maybe I can sneak into like a waiting room for like 20 minutes. Like, hey, yeah, work's calling. I gotta go take the iPad, microphone, and we're streaming from a vending machine somewhere. We'll see.
Let's go.
Stick around at that like button. We'll be back later with another show.